What's up, everybody? We are back with another review. Today we are talking about the Battlefield 6 multiplayer. We talked about the Battlefield 6 campaign in our previous video. I'll link that down below if you want to go check that out for yourself. Also, linked down below will be my Twitch. If you want to come hang out live, whether I'm playing Battlefield, Warzone, Apex, some brand new games, whatever. I play a lot of different games, and I'm live almost every day on Twitch. So that's linked down below, as well as my Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, single player channel, and car, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube channel. If you want to check any of those out, you want to support me here, there, or anywhere, it's always appreciated. But as usual, we're going to run through our cons, then our so-sos, and then our pros, and then I'm going to wrap it all up and give you my overall opinion and my score, just like we do with every review. So let's go ahead and start with the cons. First, I have the progression system, and this is kind of a 2-in-1. First, I don't like some of the progression stuff. Like, for example, every class has different, training tracks. Now, it's essentially your specialty within that class, right? And you have to unlock those through an unlock path that you don't unlock until, level 20. So I think that there's some things that are just too much unlocking just to unlock things. And so that's half of it. The other half of it is the progression is just very slow. Now, Battlefield defenders will argue this is supposed to be a 3 to 4 year game, so you got plenty of time. But in a world where things get unlocked very quickly, that doesn't jive with a lot of people, especially because a lot of people are coming over from COD. And hey, you can fairly argue just because you're coming from one game doesn't mean this game should change its identity. But in the world of live service games where things are quick unlocks, quick level ups, a lot of people, including some Battlefield people, have complained that the weapon leveling is too slow. It doesn't need to be as fast as COD, but it certainly should be faster than it is now. The level XP I'm not as concerned with, although that's a little bit too slow as well, and that does prevent you from unlocking other things. Good players are taking 6 hours to fully level a weapon, and that's just not how it should be. Another thing is Bloom. I understand that Bloom is part of Battlefield's identity, but the Bloom is incredibly too strong in this game. The Bloom, I am against Bloom in general. I think that your bullets should go where the crosshairs or your optic are pointing, and they shouldn't spray in random directions. If you want it so players don't hit every single bullet like they can with some games in COD, you just have more recoil. And whether it's gamers or gun collectors or ballistic experts, I have seen all sorts of people talk about Bloom in Battlefield. And the one consensus is if you're looking for some realism, Bloom is not realism. Why there's bullet spread, as I saw one gun expert talking about, why there's bullet spread in real life is that's the recoil of guns. And that as long as your optic is correctly aligned, the bullet's going wherever the optic is, and that's not how it is in Battlefield. So if you want some Bloom, it should not be this much. But I'm in favor of recoil over Bloom. And then my final con, and there's not a lot of them, and this one's not a major one, but it's just the way slide and dive and crouch work. If you're running in Call of Duty and you tap B or circle or, I guess you have your own keybinds on mouse and keyboard. So you just crouch. In Call of Duty you slide. In Battlefield you crouch. If you hold B or circle, you dive, and then you have to double tap it to slide, and it's just too much. I think most players, and maybe this is the COD player in me, would prefer just tap when you're running, tap to slide, and hold to dive, or some combination of that, but not crouch while you're actively moving, or at least while you're not in a full sprint. Maybe if you're walking, the crouch is fine, but if you're sprinting, slide. And I just think that could be cleaned up, and you can clean that up a little with the controls yourself. But I tend to play games on standard controls, especially to get a feel for how the game was designed, not customized for me. And then one con I actually forgot in here is the menu system is just too complicated. There's too many things in sub-menus. I would rather have long menu lists than have a bunch of sub-menus, or at least do it like COD, where if there's a sub-menu, it's a drop-down, you don't have to click into it. That's not a major con, because once you mess with all your settings, you get to perfect it, you don't really have to go into it, but it is just something to note. On to the so-sos, we have the TTK. So the BR is coming out October 28th. I may or may not have been in one of the play tests, the most recent one, and there may or may not be an armor system, which helps the TTK, but it did feel still a little fast. May or may not have felt fast. But the TTK in multiplayer is a little bit too fast. I know that they want to push for some realism, although I can shoot a guy multiple times in the head in this game and he doesn't die, so it's not realistic at its core. Plus, you keep coming back to life, not realistic. So we don't need to force some realism. And the TTK should be just a little bit longer, just a bullet or two. It doesn't need to be way longer, but just a little bit longer. And that's my only so-so. So we're already moving on to pros. The first pro overall is the gunplay. The gunplay is good outside of Bloom. There is some recoil to the weapons. Most of the weapons have at least a little bit of recoil, which you can mitigate through your loadouts, which we'll talk about in the pros. But the guns sound good. The guns feel good. I'm good with having some recoil that isn't always easy to control. I'm good with all that. I like the way the guns sound and feel. If you got rid of the Bloom, this would be an even bigger pro. But overall, I am really a fan of how the guns feel and play in this. The next one I wrote down was graphics. We talked about this in the campaign. Some of the very far away stuff I don't think are the best graphics, but everything up close looks good. The particles look good when there's explosions and smoke, and the guns look good, and you get blood on your gun when you kill somebody up close. All of the little graphical elements of this game are excellent. It is a very, very good looking game. This one's more of a small pro, but the little redeploy cam when you're waiting to redeploy, I love the little helmet cam that's in the bottom, I'm backwards. So the bottom right corner, you get that little helmet cam so you can see, like, if you're respawning on somebody, what's going on around them. It's a little detail, but I love it. The next pro I have is Destruction. I know this is a core Battlefield thing, but I'm still putting it on my pros because the Destruction is fun. The Destruction changes how every match plays, so every match can kind of feel like it's a different story. And when the BR comes out, that'll be an even bigger deal for how Destruction plays into the BR. And it's a way to eliminate enemies. It's just a fun mechanic. And when Vanguard for Call of Duty a few years ago announced they were going to have Destruction, I was excited. And then it was only the doors, and that was a little bit disappointing. I think Destruction, especially in like military games, should be more of a thing. If you look at like Apex, where it's more of like a sci-fi world, okay, maybe the buildings are too strong to be destroyed by normal weapons, right? But if you look at like Call of Duty, if I throw a bunch of grenades into a building and, not even the furniture is destroyed, like that's something that would be fun, is for Destruction to be in all of the semi-realistic, like military style shooters, and Battlefield does it so well. The next overall as a pro I have are the maps. I like the maps. I think they're cool maps. Each one feels unique. I don't love all of them, but I really like all of them. They're beautiful. They all create their own unique playstyle. It's fun having something in New York City, and then you can be, in the streets of Gaza, of Egypt, in Cairo, and you can be in different places in Europe. And I just like the maps overall. I like them more in their smaller forms because I don't necessarily love the huge modes, which I know is a core Battlefield thing. But I like that the maps all feel like they have their own unique identity and unique way to play. Some are better for playing more of a recon role, and of course it's mode dependent too. And some are better for like the assault class and the support class and the engineer class, and the vehicles all play differently on maps. I just like the maps overall. The next we have our classes. I'm in favor of every game that has classes because it just helps you create your own unique playstyle, and then within that you have your own like training tracks or whatever they call them. So you have your specialties within the classes, so you can really play your own way, and it's always something I'm a fan of. And if you can get good squads of 4 and you can all play your role well, it's a huge advantage, and I'm always a fan of classes. The next one is the loadout system. I love the points-based loadout system. I like that it forces harder decisions, and there's not a lot to say on it, but it's just nice because it really makes you think and makes your loadouts more of a thought process. And finally, the vehicles, they sound cool, they're fun. I'm terrible at flying, but they're awesome, and they create some really cinematic moments. So that's all my pros, my so-sos, and my cons. Overall, I'm having a lot of fun. Of course, I hate the COD comparisons because they're just different style of games. One's more small map and close-based, and one's mainly bigger maps, even if they're the medium maps for Battlefield. And so they have their own unique places compared to each other. Of course, COD's not necessarily unique in being a small map 6v6 arena shooter, but they have their own niches and they shouldn't be compared. And as a COD player, I'm really enjoying Battlefield. I'll keep it short and sweet. Overall, I think it's a fun game. It's a great looking game. I would like to see the bloom shrunk a little bit and maybe the progression sped up, TTK a little bit slower. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun in Battlefield, and I didn't think I would. I thought I would just kind of enjoy it, but I'm actually really enjoying it, and I look forward to playing it every day that I've been playing it. So As a multiplayer, I'm going to go ahead and give Battlefield an 8 out of 10. If you speed up the progression and slow down the TTK and shrink the bloom, I mean, we're easily talking like 9 out of 10. It's hard to be a 10 out of 10, but fix those few problems, and we're jumping up to a 9. Right now, we're about an 8 and an 8.5. So those are my thoughts on Battlefield 6 multiplayer. Go check out the campaign if you want to know my thoughts on that, as well as all my links down below. Twitch, TikToks, Instagram, social media, single player channels, car related stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like game review content, COD content, Apex content, and maybe Battlefield content coming in the future. But make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can see that first, and comment down below what you think of the Battlefield 6 multiplayer. I will see you in the next video. Thank you again for watching. Have a good day. Bye. And he's just like a super cool guy. So we always all joke that we all have a crush on his dad. His dad's name's Mike Moran, so our fantasy football league is the Mike Moran fan club.